Hey guys, welcome to the start of another project, and actually I've jumped the gun a little bit on this one already because I got a bunch of sets to get done, and time is starting to become a little bit of a concern, so I'm starting to go through them pretty quick. All the sets I did triage on, plus a few that you haven't seen like this, but all belong to the same guy. This is a GE locomotive set. I've done at least one of these before. It's a cool bakelite set. Oh, there's a wood version as well. An early GE design, kind of one of their budget sets, in that it's series strong and rather compact. If you recall, when I did the previous one, it kind of broke my spirit. It took me... I kind of stopped doing the hobby for a while because I got so frustrated with it. Hopefully that won't happen with this one, and hopefully I've learned a little bit from my experiences with that set. So, it's a magnetically deflected 10-inch set. It's series strung and uses some odd tubes. I believe this was the first set to use some of these tubes that were kind of re-engineered for series string sets. And that would be the 19BG6 horizontal output tube and 25W4 damper tube. I think it's the most compact 10-inch magnetically deflected set. They really crammed things in, which is what makes it frustrating to work on. This particular example is it's a little messy. It must have been stored in a damp environment. You see why I'll say that when we get down below. So I took it out of the cabinet. There was some obvious corrosion. That's about all I know so far. The cabinet has some cracked pieces on it. I need to build a little bit of repair work on that. The chassis appears to be all intact. Can't quite tell if any work's been done to it or not. A few things jump out at me right away. One, we have flaking dag coating. I'll have to recoat that. I'm not sure what's up with this brace. Usually there's just a brace across the top. Was this doubled up and this piece slipped down, or was it supposed to be like this? I really haven't seen that before. So they're pretty solid. Really doesn't want to flip up, so I think it might be. But this is a replacement, so it's entirely possible when they replaced it, they didn't do it right. How do I know it's a replacement? Because on the base it says AST. Can't really make it out too well. At least I think it's a replacement. GE would have used their own CRT in it, or would have been sourced from one of their suppliers. It would have been tongue sole or something like that. I think this is a rebuild. The printing on this is so bad I just can't read it. Television Video Corp. Although it has the letters AST on it. Those don't really match up, so I don't know. It's a little dirty on top, but I don't see any obvious signs of problems. Let's flip it around. We can look inside the high voltage box. So one of the things I've learned from the other stuff that worked on that got me so frustrated is that I eventually realized the flyback had been replaced, and the replacement wasn't exactly compatible. And that was causing some distortion problems. I'm pretty sure this is the original high voltage rectifier. Socket's kind of mushed over for some reason. I say I think it's original because I've seen that red core, the powdered iron core on this is kind of painted red. Not sure if you guys can see that. And there's that horizontal output tube I was talking about, 16BG6, a damper tube. And there are a couple odd looking things in there. Those are thermistors, or glow bar resistors. Those are the originals. Those fat guys there. There's two filament strings. Those are there for inrush current limiting. Now, what makes this so challenging to work on is the compact nature of it, and in particular the odd way they built it down below. Let's stay topside for a second, though. See, there's 3 caps right here. Those are hard to get at, and there are parts underneath the CRT neck on the other side that are really hard to get at. Also, if you ever work on one of these, be so careful not to put your fingers through that speaker cone. It's so easy to do. See, there's already a repair on this one. So I suggest make a cardboard cover, or masonite, drill 4 holes, put it over that, and leave it there while you work on it, or remove the speaker entirely. Alright, let's take a look underneath. This doesn't weigh much. It's easy to spin around. So, what's weird about the construction? Well, it's kind of like a Tektronix scope in that there are sort of strips with parts mounted on them. They're not exactly early circuit boards, but these are phenolic boards with a whole bunch of tie points, and then the parts are assembled on them on both sides. And then there are parts behind them, deep down in here. These don't really come out unless you disconnect a whole bunch of stuff. Working on them in place is not easy. Alright, a little bit of work has been done to this. That's a replacement cap down there. It's not being held in by anything. Let me give you a closer look of things to come. Yeah, so the power supply on this is a little complicated. We have a whole bunch of these little dynamite stick capacitors, and we have some big old seleniums up here. It is a hot chassis set, sort of. I'm not sure if one side of the AC line goes directly. This might be a floating chassis, but it's transformerless for sure. And they use a voltage doubler off the AC line to make B+, and they use a whole bunch of caps. I believe there are 6 caps that are all the same. There's 5 down below and 1 up on top. I think they're all 200 microfarad, 150 volt, or something like that. Now, one of the problems I had before, where I kind of got into the weeds when I did another one of these, is I did re-engineer the power supply. Took all this stuff out, mounted terminal strips, and I mean, it worked fine. It got confusing. And the other problem I had is that somebody had worked on it, and it didn't match the schematic I had, and I could not. And that there was stuff kind of hanging loose, clipped, loose wires. I had a heck of a time figuring all that out. Hopefully we won't have that in this set. I'm looking around, a few replacements. These bright blue caps are replacements. And we can see evidence of the corrosion. Look at these. The bodies of these pots are rusted out. And there's mildew. There's transformers, mildew, mold, moisture issues. So that's a potential cause of concern. And it doesn't help that they made a bunch of versions of this set. So there was the original 800, which came in 4 flavors, A, B, C, D. This is a 10T1, which is the 2nd generation. It's very similar, but there are definitely changes, so you want to get the right service info. The only thing that I think will help is I sourced some nice axial replacement capacitors so I can mount them like the originals were. There's some long life REFA caps, 150 microfarad, 200 volts. It contradicts what I said before, but I think that is the right value for these. I'm sure it is. Wow, these are hard to get out. Cardboard tubes in these really tight metal holders. Ooh, these have lost their guts too, so this definitely... We're not going to be doing a power-up, is what I'm getting at. Geez, it'd be nice to read a value. 60 at 350, but I don't think that's an original. I'm trying to read this one, but I can't. It's not facing me, so I can't read it. No camera. Huh. That is not what I expected at all. Again, the fun's starting already. Sorry, bear with me as I stumble my way through this. If you haven't already can't already tell, not my favorite sets. They look, okay, stylistically, yes, they're very collectible, very desirable. They look cool. They do work well when properly set up, but they are not fun to work on. And a nightmare to troubleshoot, too. Alrighty, so first thing I'm going to do is get 10T1 General Electric service info and try to make sense out of what I'm seeing down here. Hopefully these wrong values is because these are replacements and they didn't use the right caps. I can clip all this out and mount all these nice new caps in there. And of course we'll replace these seleniums, but I want to keep things as close to original as possible. Alright, so all that being said, let's test the picture tube. I'm going to use my trusty B&K 440. And here we go. The filament is glowing. See it over here on the right. And neon bulbs are lighting up. We got one. And the second one's coming up. That's a good thing. It's a very good thing. Alright. Means we don't have any shorts. We don't have any opens. Now let's check emissions. Well, yeah, another very good indicator it's a replacement CRT or a very low hour original. I think it's a replacement though, because the set has seen work. And finally cut off. Oh yeah, great cutoff control. Alright. Well, that's one thing in the plus column. Alright, I went online and I found service info both for free from scans of the rider service info at the Early Television Museum website. This is the GE800, which I have worked on before, and yep, 1, 2, 3, 4 identical 150 microfarad caps. That's what I was thinking about. Here is the 10T1, which does still have 4 150s, but they're used differently. And they do have a couple 60s. But 2 of the 150s are in parallel, and the 2 60s are in parallel. So you could actually replace this with a single cap, and this with a single cap. Replace this with a 330, and replace this with a 120 or a 150. And then, yeah, we have 2 150s over here. So I can still use the caps I have. Now, why would they put caps in parallel? No engineering reason. They wouldn't have done that to get a lower ESR or anything like that. This is not a critical application. They used it probably because they just ordered up a whole bunch of these 150s and got a bulk discount. And same with the 60s. But those are the 4 caps down, the 6 caps underneath the chassis. So I will have to source a couple of these guys. Alright, so I have service info in hand. I need to study it more, see how it compares. I'd like to track down the SAMs too if possible, because it'll have some photos of the chassis in case I need some parts locator references. Alright, so now what? Well, in addition to doing more research, I'm going to start with the electrolytics. As I said, I wouldn't dream about trying to reform these or power this thing up. These are all just disgusting, and the ones down below were oozing. So, and there's actually another one hiding back there. There's a bunch of them. And I want to clean this thing. It's filthy, especially the CRT. So, I'm going to leave off with you now. And I'm going to get to cleaning this and replacing all the electrolytics. While I'm doing that, I will look for any signs of concern. If I don't see any, hopefully next installment, we'll have those caps replaced and we'll try power up. And yeah, there's one more electrolytic down there. Yeah, it's all coming back to me. Yeah. As horrible as it is because of all this stuff, you really need to remove the CRT and the yoke and the focus magnet and all that good stuff to get at the stuff down there. Thank you, GE. Alright, that's it for now. Thanks for watching.